Hey there, y'all. Welcome back to another Tim Talks Christian Rock. Tim Risto here. Hope you're having a great day today. May God bless your day going forward from here. This is a nice, peaceful, quiet day here on the Creative Christian Studio today as I record this. Hope it's peaceful and quiet for you wherever you're at as well. It's just going to be a short video today. Just want to kind of reflect on something that video clip that's been going around, something old that's become something new once again. Joe Rogan discovers Christian rock. That's kind of the headline. There's this clip going around last couple of days anyway. First time I've seen it, but it's actually from a 2023 episode of the Joe Rogan podcast where he talks about discovering Christian rock, a Larry Norman song of all things. And it's just kind of interesting. Again, maybe some of you saw it back in 2023 or made aware of it. I know it made the rounds then, but it's kind of come back up again here recently, this little clip being circulated. I saw it first on a Christian record producer, I think, his Instagram page, if I remember correctly, and then went back and sought out the original Rogan episode. So it's just kind of interesting. Thought we'd take a look at it quickly, reflect on it. Nothing super serious today, but just kind of for fun. So let's take a look at a couple little excerpt clips from it, and then we'll talk about it again on the back end.
This is from, I think it's from 1970. Larry Norman.
Why don't you come to Jesus? He's got the answer.
Listen to this. No, listen to this. It's good, man. The lyrics are good. And it's also, you have to look at it, you're in a time capsule. It was 1970.
Shooting junk till you're happy and sane. Broken needle in your purple vein. Why don't you look into Jesus? He got the answer.
Good song, right?
Yeah.
All right, so kind of interesting clips there, some interesting stuff going on here. I'd like to kind of reflect on maybe 3 or 4 different things about this just real quick. But, you know, Rogan, of course, is a bit of a, I guess you could say, controversial figure, but he's a real thought-provoking guy. I love the way he approaches his show. I think one of the reasons it's so popular, of course, is he's just got this curiosity, and the show is just him having conversations with people, and it's him just asking questions and then reflecting on stuff. And it's just this great flow of conversation. So he's a curious soul. I can relate to that. And he seems very open about his musical interests, too. He's commented a lot on that in past episodes, too, if you watch the show on a regular basis. Very interesting. He's open to different musical styles. And so here he is, exposed to Larry Norman's 1970 song from his 1970 album, Only Visiting This Planet, the song, Why Don't You Look Into Jesus? Apparently his first exposure to Christian rock, really, and it's the 70s rock song by Jesus rocker Larry Norman. And he's open to it. And what does he think? Initially attracted to the music. He's hooked by the music. So I think that's intriguing because right off the bat, that to me puts a big stereotype to rest. The idea that Christian rock music is always less than mainstream rock. I've just never bought into that. I've always felt Christian rock has produced some really good stuff. Are there songs that are not as good as other songs? Sure. You know, some not as well written, not as well produced, not as well recorded, didn't have as big a budget, whatever the case may be. But that's true of any song, any genre, any creative work for that matter. There's all sorts of extenuating circumstances or connected circumstances that affect the output of the final work. Some works are always going to be better than others. Some are going to be less than because of all sorts of different reasons. That's just true of anything. But because a musical piece is under the genre of Christian rock doesn't immediately make it something less. So I think here again is a prime example. Joe Rogan, who's very open, musically to different styles. Here's a Christian rock piece by Larry Norman from the 70s and is drawn into it right away. Loves it. So that's number one. Number two, and this is kind of my key point, but he says the lyrics to his guest. He says the lyrics are really good. Now, I love that because he's drawn initially to the music, but then secondly, he loves the lyrics. He's intrigued by the storytelling of the lyrics or by the message of the lyrics, and that pulls him in. And he starts singing along. Why don't you look into Jesus? I mean, he sings about Jesus on the Joe Rogan show. Now, of course, he's initially probably pulled into those lyrics that talk about drugs and sex and all the 70s kind of sinful nature that, anytime sinful nature, but in particular from Larry Norman's context of the 70s, singing about those sins. But of course, the message, though, does point to the way out of that lifestyle is through Jesus. Look into Jesus, who will help you through life to escape from those things. He's redeemed us. So, again, the message is there. And here on a podcast, Joe Rogan's podcast, arguably the largest podcast in the world, you've got Joe Rogan singing a Christian rock song about Jesus. I mean, that's pretty cool. So I find that pretty amazing. Again, we talk a lot, of course, here on the Creative Christians channel and here at Tim Talks Christian Rock about the creative works of artists like Christian rock musicians, who I think the whole point is, you want your message to be heard. Yeah, the music should be good, should be quality stuff, should be representative of the excellence that Jesus expects us to uphold our works to. But then also it's a hook to get into really the message. That's the primary goal. And the fact that you've got Joe Rogan loving the music and loving the lyrics, the message, is pretty cool. So those are a couple things that struck me right off the bat. Third, of course, is a little bit related to this, but the idea that this is a classic rock song from the 70s. And I'm noticing more and more we're seeing classic Christian rock finally getting its due. Here we are, as I record this, in 2025, and it seems like it's been a long haul for classic Christian rock to finally get its due. I'm seeing more podcasts come out about Christian rock. I'm seeing more, YouTube shows being produced about Christian rock. I'm seeing more conversation around it, as those of us that kind of grew up with it in the 70s and 80s have started to grow older ourselves and reach out and want to talk about, want to find others to talk about. I'm beginning to see this industry growing more and more. And again, even though this is a podcast from just a couple of years ago, 2023 with Joe Rogan, it's just one more piece of the conversation that's kind of adding to this growth of Christian rock. Another video I have that hopefully will come out today is one where I'm talking about Iron FM, which is a radio station, new radio station, that is focused on just that, classic Christian rock for the most part. So again, there's this growth of Christian rock that we haven't seen before, and in particular, classic Christian rock. So I think that's an interesting part of the conversation as well, that having this Joe Rogan clip about Larry Norman resurface is kind of timely on a number of different levels. So anyway, what do you all think? I just want to reflect on those things. I thought this was kind of interesting. I know, again, Joe Rogan isn't going to become a Christian after listening to one Larry Norman song necessarily, but it may very well help plant a seed. If not even for him, then maybe for his listeners. Here he was sharing a Christian rock song on his show, not behind closed doors, but on his show. So I think that speaks volumes as well, too. So what do you all think? Love to hear your comments down below about Joe Rogan discovering Christian rock. Kind of cool, I think. Interesting times we live in, isn't it? It's always amazing to think how our creative works can have an impact in some way, shape, or form. You never know. Larry Norman's long passed away, so his message, that of the gospel message that he helped to preach, even though he didn't have a perfect lifestyle either. Again, in many ways it makes sense that Rogan is attracted to a Larry Norman song. They probably shared a lot of different things in terms of their lives. We're all sinful human beings. None of us is perfect. But again, it's just kind of an interesting little nugget. So I didn't catch this back in 2023. I think I mentioned at the beginning. So for me, this is a new clip to me, but it's interesting to see it making the rounds again. So anyway, love to hear your comments down below. Let me know what you think. See you next time, y'all. Take care. Bye-bye.